I have an important announcement to make. As I've said many times, we the people have our fate in our own hands, much like our founding fathers did when they wrote the Declaration of Independence, perhaps the most beautiful document ever written, which in fact incorporates God and the Bible. When in the course of human events, the sovereign, the rulers no longer represent the people have a right under the laws of nature and nature's God to alter or abolish their government and to form a new government by and for the people, with equal rights for everyone in pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. The founders recognized that the law of man does not ultimately govern. It's the law of God and of nature's God, natural law. In this instance, it's also buttressed by a decision by the late Antonin Scalia, Justice of the Supreme Court, in United States versus Williams, where he held that the grand jury belongs to the American people, not, I repeat, not the three branches of government. In fact, this is the way it worked in the Old West before we had a Justice Department on July 1st, 1870. That's when it came into being. We have the right to rise up to ourselves enforce the law of nature and nature's God, as well as man-made law, and I've done that before. We at Freedom Watch, through citizens' grand juries, citizens' trials, citizens' judges, sentencing, have found Joe Biden guilty of negligent homicide in Afghanistan. And of course, Kamala Harris claims she also participated in the decisions which gave rise to the death of many GIs and Americans, precipitously pulling out of Afghanistan and then ordering a drone strike on our own allies, Afghan allies, killing 7 of their children, including a 3-year-old. In addition to indicting and convicting Biden for that, he's been indicted and convicted with his son Hunter and his brother James for taking bribes from communist China, Ukraine, and Russia, and for that he got 20 years. Now, thus far, we haven't found law enforcement with any guts to carry it out. They're scared because what's happening with the Justice Department, this Gestapo of a Justice Department, under Attorney General Merrick Garland, a criminal in his own right, and his co-criminal, Christopher Wray of the FBI, they've been persecuting January 6 peaceful protesters, throwing them in prison for simply being on the Capitol grounds. Not even really a trespass, because that's our Capitol. But they were charged with obstruction of justice and all kinds of other things, which, at least with the obstruction, the Supreme Court has effectively thrown out. But people are scared. They don't want to rise up. Even law enforcement is scared. The left, which is pure evil, which is a disciple of the devil. And I don't care who you are. If you're a leftist, frankly, you're evil, because you believe in ultimate government power above the power of the people and the power of God. That is what communism is all about. You supplant God with the state, with the government. That becomes your God. And in fact, Ayn Rand wrote about that in Atlas Shrugged in 1958, as well as George Orwell in 1984. You must obey. We have no rights. The left believes we have no rights. And of course, what I love about leftists is that they have all these rules, but the rules don't apply to them. They just apply to everybody else, whether it's COVID or whatever the case may be. Even in your daily life, you can see that with people when they try to force things down your throat. I always notice that leftists, for instance, if you encroach a parking spot, or maybe your kid starts screaming and you actually have to discipline your kid, oh, you can't discipline your kid, I'll call the police. This is the left, okay? So anyone who's a leftist, in my opinion, is pure evil. And let's not say radical leftist. Let's just talk about leftist. And then, of course, you see it encroaching into Hollywood, which influences society. The people that run Hollywood are leftists. I'm proud of being have Jewish heritage. I'm a Christian as well. I believe in Jesus. But as I said yesterday, the Jewish left is the primary threat to this country. And that may sound anti-Semitic to some, but it's not, because in fact, they're trying to destroy Israel as well. And they do not represent Jews. They are not Jews at all. They are Marxists, they're socialists, they're atheists, and they control Hollywood. And they ram down our throat all this woke stuff. It's okay to have sex change operations behind the back of parents, homosexuality, lesbianism, God knows what, that's fine. and frankly, I'm a libertarian in that regard. What you want to do on your own is fine. Don't push it on other people. Do it yourself. Keep it to yourself. Don't push it on kids. Don't push it on others. Don't make people feel obligated to go to your gay marriage when they don't want to go, because that's contrary to their religious beliefs. God gave us sexual organs for a reason. He didn't in any way suggest that we get to cross county lines, so to speak. So this is something that needs to be said in many, many times. It's something that has to be said honestly and openly. And this Justice Department is keeping people from, in any way, taking matters into their own peaceful legal hands because they're scared, and that goes to law enforcement as well. So I'm commissioning a citizens grand jury to seek the indictment of the Attorney General of the United States, a criminal, Merrick Garland, the FBI director, another criminal, Christopher Wray, the heads of Secret Service, which allowed the assassination attempt to happen. They knew what was going to happen. They created a condition to kill President Trump because they were doing the bidding of Biden and Harris, because at that point, Trump was way ahead in the polls. And if it wasn't an inside job, then they created the conditions. And they knew that an Iranian hit squad had been sent to kill President Trump. They still took no precautions. Our government, there's no government. It's pure evil. And it's just because it is run by the left. But I'll tell you something, even the Republicans, they're hapless. They're worthless. They just want to raise money. They just want to perpetuate their own power. They want to be Mr. Big Shots on Capitol Hill and in Washington, D.C., prancing around with their little congressional pins. Just a few weeks ago, they issued an impeachment report, but they're not going to impeach Biden or Harris. No, it's just for public relations. It's just to raise money. It's just hopefully to influence elections. In that respect, they're the flip side of the coin of the Democrats. You cannot depend on any of them. And those who say, and I've got people in my own extended family, not my blood family, but inherited family in a way, let the Republicans do it. That is repugnant because they won't do, excuse the French, jack shit. And excuse that because that's the way I feel. And that's why we're in the situation we are. That's why you have Joe Biden as president. That's why you have Kamala Harris as vice president. That's why President Trump, and I don't tell people to vote for, is falling at this point quicker than a rock in polls with Kamala Harris. They don't even know how to wage a campaign. So we must rise up. We must hold the guilty accountable. We must hold Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, the directors of the Secret Service, those at the lower level who allowed an attempted assassination attempt. We must hold accountable those in our government who subvert the rule of law and do not represent the American people. We must do it peacefully and legally. So go to freedomwatchusa.org. Contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. There is a war going on. Make no mistake about it. It's a war of the left against the right. One side will win, one side will lose. And if you care about yourself and your loved ones, your kids, grandchildren, or you're middle-aged or young, I strongly suggest that you join our Justice League and take matters into your own peaceful and legal hands. And in the meantime, make sure that you arm up, never use a weapon offensively, only defensively, because the left is coming for us. They want us dead. Frankly, they want us dead. And that's why they're so bent on so-called gun control. It's not about gun control, taking weapons away. And in all dictatorial societies, dictators, whether it was Hitler, Mussolini, you name it, Kim Jong-un, Fidel Castro, citizens were not allowed to have weapons to defend themselves, guns in particular. Take it to heart. And if you think you can just ride through all of this and nothing's going to happen, then you live in a dream world. You're on mushrooms or ecstasy, believe me, something to that effect, maybe worse. So right now, please join Freedom Watch, contribute to our cause. We need more lawyers, more paralegals. We need more office space. We are your Justice Department. You have no Justice Department. And thank you for listening to me. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. God bless you. God bless your family. God save America. Thank you for listening to me.